Yeah. Hey guys, in this video, Brenda and I will be covering some important artworks from one of the coolest time periods in history, the Roman Empire.
What made the Roman Empire so cool was that for the first time, a single government was in charge of an entire empire, ruling all over Europe, North Africa, and West Asia. Rome resembled our own world as there was an immense diversity among its citizens compared to any previous civilizations.
This is not the only similarity between Roman civilization and today's world, as Romans' art main purpose was for political gain and authority. Much of today's art also holds a similar purpose, which is to capture the viewer's attention and sway their own personal opinion. And of course, we can't forget about
concrete.
They made that. Okay, so the key ideas that we'll be discussing are Romans' large belief in afterlife and preserving the memory of the deceased, along with the vast use of marble with detailed carving depicting features along with emotions.
We'll also be discussing how art and reliefs showed personification of Roman beliefs and ideologies, and how it depicted Greek gods and goddesses to display characteristics of the deceased.
Now on to some vocab. Look at all these wonderful words you will learn. Isn't it exciting?
Pause the video right now and comment down below what you think they mean.
And while you're at it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. It'll really help us out. All right. So the first vocab word is apotheoses, which is basically a part of Roman ideology. This was the ascent to heaven of a ruler when he or she would take their place among the other gods and goddesses. Images were masks that resembled the deceased that were placed on the body or others during the funeral.
Sarcophagus was a coffin or for burials, and most of the time the luxurious ones were made out of marble, while others were made of stone. The next vocab word is klein, which just means a couch or funerary bed. And then the next word is bust, which is the upper part of a human figure, which typically only shows the head and shoulders of the subject.
Lastly, Asiatic, which just means derived from Asia. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. I know we've been saying artworks a lot, and you guys really don't know what the artworks are, so here they are. Take it away, Brenda.
So for the first artwork, we have portrait bust of Trajan Decius. Then there's apotheosis of Amninus of Pius and Faustina.
The other two artworks we'll be talking about is the Asiatic sarcophagus with Klein portrait of a woman and man with portrait busts of his ancestors.
Okay, so now let's take a look at the context, content, form, and function of each of these sculptures.
So this is the portrait bust of Trajan Decius, 249 to 251 CE, made out of marble, or as we like to call him, Sad Man. The context of this piece was that it was created in a time period where rulers needed to assert their authority and be well known. So they created a vast amount of portraits and sculptures. And they placed them all over Rome to let the public know who was in charge. The context goes hand in hand with the function, as the portrait's main purpose was to depict Emperor Trajan and be displayed all over the empire, so that people would become familiar with his face and know who was boss.
The form of this portrait was very detailed, depicting a lot of emotion, and part of why people thought it was made out of clay was because it was so detailed. It's very hard to get all the ugliness in there.
No hate, no hate.
The head was compressed, which made the cheekbones pop out more. There was a receding hairline and the obvious wrinkles all over his face. The content is all the old age features that can be seen in the portrait, starting with the baggy eyes, which I think most of us can relate to.
Ah yes, DC classics.
And then the receding hairline, the ungroomed facial hair, and of course all the wrinkles. All of these facial features show the stress and exhaustion a leader feels as he contemplates the power he has compared to the other country's enemies. Not only that, but this entices a sense of worry in the viewer. You can't help but worry over what exactly is causing him so much stress.
Fun fact, which is not so fun, This guy was best known for his persecution of Christians, so don't feel too bad. The next artwork we'll be examining is the Apotheoses of Amnetus, Pius, and Faustina from Rome, Italy, ca. 161 CE, carved of marble. This is one relief depicted in the column of Amnetus Pius, which was dedicated to, can you guess who? Yep, Amnetus Pius. The function of this piece of art was that it served to commemorate the emperor and his wife Faustina after his death in 161. Some context to further understand the purpose of this art piece is that at the time, in Rome, there was a very strong belief that after the death of an emperor or empress, they would then ascend to heaven, where they would join the gods and goddesses.
The whole column, including this relief, is about 48 feet high and 6 feet wide. Pretty big, right? Again created from marble, and it was sculpted almost in an idealistic way, as the people shown do not have any flaws. The largeness and beauty of the relief contribute to the awe instilled in the viewer. You can't help but say, wow. The content being shown is the ascension of Amnetus and his wife Faustina to heaven. There's lots of personification shown. For example, the man on the lower left is holding the Egyptian obelisk, which lets viewers know the location of the apotheosis. On the lower right, the viewer sees a woman, the goddess Roma, who represents Rome in a human figure waving goodbye to the emperor and empress.
Lastly, there is the winged man who is carrying the emperor and empress, undoubtedly taking them to all the other gods and goddesses.
The next artwork is the Asiatic sarcophagus with Klein portrait of a woman from Rapolya near Melfi, Italy, ca. 165 to 170 CE. Some context for this art piece is that under the rule of Antoninus, Romans began to favor burial over cremation. This could have reflected the influence of Christianity, as it is believed that there is an afterlife even for the dead body. Emperors continued tradition, but there were a few citizens that did not, and they chose to be buried instead. Because of this, the function was to basically hold the dead body and show what the person looked like and some of its characteristics, and more on that in content.
The form of the Asiatic sarcophagus is influenced by Etruscan sarcophaguses, as the lid portrait is very similar. There is Asiatic decoration on all four sides of the box. Additionally, there is also a pattern with seahorses and another pattern with just regular geometric shapes. The content is the statue of the deceased woman as she is reclined on a recline, and with her is a small statue of Cupid, who is holding a torch of light pointed down. This is meant to symbolize the loss of beauty. There are also the paws of her dog by her feet, but both Brenda and I are very blind and could not find them. So if you find them, let us know in the comments below. And lastly, there are representations of gods and goddesses, some of them being Venus and Helen of Troy.
Our last artwork is man with portrait bust of his ancestors from Rome, Italy, late 1st century BCE, and it was once again made out of marble. The context of this artwork is that in Rome, those of high society had these family portraits, which proved to people you had power and belonged to a wealthy society. It showed your pride in being related to such significant figures and influenced your own power in society. The form of this artwork was that the center man is carved out of marble, but the heads may be wax or terracotta, as marble or bronze would be much too heavy to use.
Next up was the function, which was to serve as a family portrait of sorts, and it was displayed in the home to show guests the honorable ancestors of a person's family. And for the content, it was an example of a portrait statue, and you can see the man is holding the head of his ancestors.
Okay, and that is all for our Roman Empire sculptures.
Hope you learned, because guess what? Surprise pop quiz!
Coach Blades lied to you all. There's going to be a link down below.
Yes, follow the link. Make sure to take the quiz because it's 50% of your grade. All right, bye.
Bye, Stratus.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.